Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us as we recognise the beginning of Ovarian Cancer Awareness Month and World Cancer Day. Today is a moment to confront the reality of ovarian cancer and to ask ourselves together, what can we do next? This year, Ovarian Cancer Australia marks 25 years, a quarter of a century of standing with women and families, elevating their voices and pushing for the progress they deserve. I would like to begin by acknowledging the Ngunnawal people, the traditional custodians of the lands on which we gather today, and recognise any other Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people with families and connections to the lands of the ACT and surrounding regions. I pay my respects to elders past and present and extend that respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people with us here this morning and in our communities always. We recognise that closing the gap in health outcomes is a shared responsibility, and at Ovarian Cancer Australia, we're committed to strengthening cancer outcomes for Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples. I want to acknowledge the women and families with lived experience in the room here today. It takes enormous courage to show up in spaces like this. You are at the heart of everything we do. We're with you always. We're honoured to be hearing from later this morning the Honourable Rebecca White MP, Assistant Minister for Health and Aged Care, Assistant Minister for Indigenous Health and Assistant Minister for Women, and Melissa McIntosh MP, Shadow Minister for Communications and Women. Welcome to all parliamentarians and staff from across the House and Senate who are here this morning. I see many familiar faces and I see some new champions. Thank you. I also warmly welcome our colleagues and our partners from across the sector, including Professor Dorothy Keefe from Cancer Australia, Robin Penty from the Ovarian Cancer Research Foundation, Alison Evans from the Australian and New Zealand Gynaecological Oncology Group, and so many others. Your leadership and genuine collaboration enriches this community. Thank you. A special welcome to our partners Terry White Chemmart and Hair House and Black Pepper, whose long-standing commitment amplifies the work of OCA and supports the women we walk alongside. I also want to acknowledge the board and the team at Ovarian Cancer Australia for the dedication and heart they bring to everything we do, including days like today and the team standing up the back there. Thank you. And it is a privilege to have Karen Livingstone AM here with us today, one of the founding members of Ovarian Cancer Australia. We honour the foundation you built, Karen, by continuing the work you began. 25 years. Today is for the countless women whose experience echo the voices you will hear this morning, and for those who never had the chance to be heard. Ovarian cancer is the most lethal female cancer in Australia. Every day, 3 women lose their lives to it, and behind every diagnosis is a family changed forever. I'd like to invite you now to join me in a moment of silence to honour the many lives that have been lost to ovarian cancer and to reflect on the action their legacy calls us to take. Thank you. Ovarian Cancer Australia stands for and walks with women and families affected by ovarian cancer from diagnosis and throughout everything that follows. We work to reduce the variation in care across Australia and drive system reform at every level. We contribute to decision-making about new tests and treatments, help shape frameworks for cancer care and secure funding for ovarian cancer-related programs. These ongoing advocacy efforts that we're doubling down on are crucial to ensuring ovarian cancer remains a national priority. Advocacy alone will not support a woman in the moment she hears the words, "You have ovarian cancer," and 5 women will hear those words today. That's why our Teal support program connects women and families with specialist nurses, psychologists and counsellors today. We are deeply grateful for the government funding that enables and supports this program continuing through to 2027. Thank you. Ovarian cancer is becoming increasingly complex. Treatment options are evolving, precision medicine is advancing, and genetic and genomic information now shape key decisions. The extensive experience of our psychologists and nurses is a lifeline for this community. Not only providing validation for what the women and families are going through, but for intervening with expertise to improve the quality of lives and their path forward when the ground below them is shaky. Our purpose is clear: to strengthen the system women rely on and to support them through the gaps that are still here today. Ovarian cancer is a clear example of how women's health has been left behind. There have been some gains, but survival remains stubbornly low, treatment options are limited, and too many women still feel unheard in a system that was not designed with their needs in mind. Decades of inequity have left women's health underfunded and under-researched, with devastating consequences. If we are serious about shaping a better future, recognition alone is not enough. We have to act. Today is about shining a light into the shadow that gynecological and ovarian cancers still sit in that women's health, and we're so very grateful for all of you here today to help us shine that light. We have an important program ahead. Ovarian Cancer Australia and the Teal Parliamentary Breakfast places lived experience at the heart of national advocacy. But this is more than that, more than a moment to listen. It's a chance to deepen our understanding so each of us is better equipped to play our part in what comes next. Because none of us can do this alone. And it is on that note, I'm delighted to welcome our first speaker today. Our partnerships across the sector matter. Progress depends on collaboration and leadership. That national leadership is exemplified by Cancer Australia under the guidance of CEO Professor Dorothy Keefe. Dorothy has been instrumental in advancing national cancer reform and ensuring the Australian Cancer Plan reflects the realities and needs of all people affected by cancer across the country. Ovarian Cancer Australia is proud to partner with Cancer Australia to help deliver on that plan. Please join me in welcoming Professor Keefe.
Good morning, and thank you very much, Debbie. I think we should concentrate on the first parts of Debbie's speech about ovarian cancer and about the women affected. I'd like to add my acknowledgement to the traditional owners of these lands and to say that it is absolutely true that we need to do better in ovarian cancer and we need to do better in Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander cancer control. And at Cancer Australia, we commit ourselves constantly at every meeting and every opportunity to acknowledge, we commit ourselves to closing that gap, which in cancer continues to widen. OCA is a really important partner of Cancer Australia, and the work that is done in advocacy enables us to do better, and it allows us to listen to what is actually happening. The lived experience of patients is completely the most important part of what we do. And as I know some of you have heard me say before, with the Australian Cancer Plan, when we went out to the entire community and said, what do you want in a plan? They said, we want our cancer prevented or found early. We want the world's best treatment underpinned by data and research, and we want to be cared for. And the fact that people told us they wanted to be cared for gave us the permission to focus on that holistic pathway, the whole cancer ecosystem. And that's what the advocacy groups bring to us. They bring us that voice, and every time we hear it, it gives me goosebumps and it reaffirms what we should be doing. I'm particularly honoured to have been asked to speak today on what is World Cancer Day. Everywhere around the world, people are talking today about cancer and about how we're making progress and how we are, the survival rates for cancer in Australia during my career have gone from 50% 5-year survival to 70%, but we've got another 30% to go. The theme of this year's World Cancer Day is United by Unique. And I think it's a really clever phrase, because while there are many similarities between cancers and between people who have cancer, and I do say that a lot because we need to do things together where we can to enable us to do the unique things, support the unique needs where we must. And so every woman with ovarian cancer is different, but all of the women with ovarian cancer are united. And when I look at this room, I know that there is probably nobody here who has not been affected by cancer. I was reflecting this morning, both of my parents died of cancer 20 years ago, far too young, but that wasn't what got me into cancer. I think what probably subconsciously got me into a career in cancer was the fact that when I was 16, my first boyfriend died of a very rare cancer. And I had no idea that that was where I would end up. It wasn't intentional at all, but looking back, you think cancer has a big impact on everyone, and everyone here has a story, particularly today, stories about women's cancer and women's needs. And so I'm just really thrilled to have been invited here today to talk about that. It's really important that we work together. One of the things I think that OCA is doing really well is partnering with the other groups in gynecological cancers and working towards a unified voice. And of course, if you all agree with each other and come to Cancer Australia, come to government and say, we need to do this, it's very difficult to say no. It's much easier to say no when people aren't asking for the same thing, but when everyone's going in the same direction, when you've got an Australian cancer plan and a plan for gynecological cancer, it's much easier to do it together. One of the other things that's really special about today, and for which I'm very grateful to be invited, is that today Cancer Australia is launching the Jeannie Ferris Awards for 2026. And again, the Jeannie Ferris Awards have a very strong link to gynecological cancer. As many of you know, Senator Jeannie Ferris was a South Australian senator from my home state who died of a gynecological malignancy. And in her honour, Cancer Australia was able to set up a set of awards. Initially, those awards were in gynecological cancer, and there was a community award and there was a professional award. And over the years, some very special people, some of whom are here, have been involved in those awards. And I think Jeremy Ferris may be around somewhere. I can't quite see him. He may not have been able to make it. But the awards in the last couple of years have been expanded to all cancers. And the reason for that is actually the Australian Cancer Plan, that it is for every Australian affected by every cancer, and it enables us to broaden our acknowledgement of the people who are working in this area, all the advocates and all of the professionals, because the work we do in one cancer actually translates to another as well. So that united by unique crosses over between the two cancers. So the Jeannie Ferris Awards are open for this year, and I hope that you will be nominating people. There's still quite a strong influence of gynecological malignancy in those awards, and we're very happy to see that. So thank you again. Thank you for everything that you do. The generosity of the community affected by ovarian cancer is extraordinary, and we are here to continue to partner with you and work with you and make a difference for those outcomes. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dorothy, for your leadership, for opening the Jeannie Ferris Awards here with us today. World Cancer Day's theme, United by Unique, that you've spoken about, is grounded in lived experience. And that's exactly what this breakfast and this morning is all about. These experiences extend far beyond the person diagnosed. It's parents, partners, siblings, children, they're all affected. Listening to and supporting them is essential. And it is in that spirit I am honoured to introduce our keynote speaker, Elsa Larsen. Elsa's connection with ovarian cancer is deeply personal. Her journey spans the years she stood alongside her sister Kristen and the years since Kristen's passing. Elsa has harnessed her experience to advocate, raise awareness and support others and everyone in this room. After Elsa shares her story, we will show a short video about Kristen. I just want to acknowledge that it may be difficult for some to watch, and so if you need to take a moment to step out, that's perfectly fine. Please join me in welcoming us, Elsa.
Hello, I'm Elsa. I'm incredibly excited to be here this morning. Thank you for showing your support. My sister Kristen was not just my little sister. She was my other half, my best friend, my partner in crime. At just 20 and already dreaming big, Kristen convinced me to move to London with her. She thrived there, landing her dream job in HR and adopting Henry, her golden chihuahua, who came everywhere with us on our adventures across the UK and Europe. Kristen was full of energy, but sometimes she felt bloated and had some tummy aches, but we never thought it was serious. But one day, her pain escalated and she went to the GP, and that's when everything changed. Kristen was diagnosed with stage 3C ovarian cancer. I couldn't believe it. I was horrified and scared, but I never imagined it might take her life. As we met Kristen's surgeon, she described to us the primary tumour, the size of a Coke can, and the cancer that had metastasised throughout her womb and abdomen to her diaphragm, liver, and large bowel. Then came the reality. Surgery might not be feasible. Chemotherapy might not work. And she might only have months to live. But with the odds stacked against her, Kristen and her team forged ahead. She was 21, facing major surgery, an open incision from her chest to pubic bone, a full hysterectomy, and the removal of her large bowel that left Kristen with an ileostomy stoma. 11 hours, multiple surgeons, and 56 staples to close. That cold London February day, my parents and I waited in agony. When we finally saw Kristen in the ICU, she was in pain, yet she smiled. The surgeon removed all visible cancer. Now there was hope. The words healing or recovery imply returning to what was before, but that is never the reality with ovarian cancer. There was so much for Kristen to grieve, and she did, yet she felt lucky to be alive, knowing most don't survive. Wanting to give back, Kristen reached out to the UK's leading ovarian cancer charity, stepping out of her comfort zone to share her story and raise funds. But even in this time of hope, Kristen's oncologist warned us of the 70% likelihood that the cancer would return and advised us to focus on whatever was important now. In that sentiment, and as our UK visas came to an end, Kristen dragged Henry and I across the Atlantic to Toronto, Canada, and our next Commonwealth adventure began. Kristen didn't delay in contacting Ovarian Cancer Canada, and our Teal family grew again. However, by the summer of 2015, scans revealed that the cancer had returned, speckled throughout her abdomen with malignant fluid around her lungs. Devastated, we made the decision to move home to Brisbane. Kristen enrolled in a clinical trial and, of course, promptly introduced herself to Ovarian Cancer Australia. Over those following years, Kristen understood we were no longer looking at curative outcomes, yet she endured countless treatments, surgeries, clinical trials, all in the hope of buying more time. And there were times of stability where cancer was manageable, and we seized those opportunities to do what Kristen loved most: Teal travel. This took us all over the US for ovarian cancer conferences, because connecting and advocating with her fellow Teal sisters was so important to her. But for me, balanced alongside that fun and joy, I hid an intense worry. It was a constant pit at the bottom of my stomach, dreading and fearing for the next curveball. And there were many. Like the time Kristen was rushed into emergency surgery because of a bowel perforation. Over those years, we presented to emergency more than 30 times, never knowing what the outcome would be. In total, Kristen spent over 200 days admitted as a hospital inpatient. This cancer was all-consuming. Blood tests, radiology scans, appointments were innumerable. Kristen evaded death many times, but eventually no more surgery or medicine could hold the cancer back. The end stage of a loved one's life is indescribable. Accepting that nothing more can be done meant facing the hardest conversations about death and life without her. I told Kristen I didn't know how to do life without her. She said she would always be with me and hoped that I would continue her Teal work. But I admitted I wasn't sure. Could I bear staying involved in a disease that had taken her life? On her final day, we knew it was her time. Our family, friends, and chihuahuas surrounded her bedside. I held her in my arms and told her she didn't have to fight anymore, that it was okay now to let go, and that she was forever loved. And then she took her final breath. She was 27. This was December of 2019. While others prepared for Christmas, I was writing the eulogy of my baby sister's young life. My soul felt like it had been split in two, yet I had to find the focus to honour her. The outpouring of love and support from the Teal community, from OCA and worldwide. That's beautiful. I realise this is not just Kristen's story. It is mine too. I still have a voice when Kristen and so many friends no longer do. If my first public speaking engagement was delivering her eulogy, what could be harder? So I decided that I would carry on Kristen's legacy. And over the past 6 years, I have shared her story at events and fundraisers, taught university medical and nursing students, and served as a consumer advocate in research applications. I said at the start that I was excited to be here, but I am also tired. I have spent 12 years on this journey. 6 with Kristen, 6 without her. I am tired of seeing my Teal friends suffer. And I'm tired of going to funerals. Just 2 months ago, I attended the funeral of young Elsa, your 2023 keynote speaker. I'm heartbroken that my parents lost their youngest daughter. I'm heartbroken for Elise's parents and for every family member and friend losing someone they love. Women with ovarian cancer show incredible courage. They face extensive treatments, extreme suffering, and the constant uncertainty of whether they will even survive. What these families and the women deserve is earlier detection combined with effective and personalised treatments. The Teal community is kind, collaborative, and united in purpose. Australian researchers are world-class, as are our universities and hospitals. We know what happens when we invest in Australian science. We change the world. This country pioneered the science, now eliminating cervical cancer. Imagine if we could do that for ovarian cancer. It deserves that same ambition. Kristen herself held that ambition. She never backed down to fear. And now I would love to share with you a glimpse of her life, her courage, and the impact she made, spoken in her own words through the memories we recorded together. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, Kristen Larsen.
Good morning. I used to just repeat to myself, if your dreams don't scare you, they're not big enough. 1, 2, 3.
I love you, Critty. I'm so proud of you. And oh my god, you make me so tired. Just slow down, will you?
My sister and I have just been around the world and seen so many things.
Hey, Chrissy! Bonjour. Bonjour.
Hey Chrissy, where are ya?
On the side of the road in British Columbia.
Where are ya? Hawaii.
Emerald Lake. Leaning Tower of Pisa.
Hey Chrissy, where are ya?
Royal Prince Philip Women's Hospital.
One afternoon, I get the phone call and they asked me to come in urgently and to bring a loved one. It was just awful, like, to tell your parents that their youngest daughter's got ovarian cancer. diagnosed 6 years ago now, and each year I celebrate that day. It probably sounds weird to celebrate the day that you're diagnosed with terminal cancer, but I see it as a celebration of each year that I survive. What I really found useful was reaching out to all of the different charities and seeing what volunteer work I could do.
What are you doing? Popping for a cure?
And through them, I have had some of the best fun and some of the craziest opportunities. I didn't realise that as someone with the disease, I could be of so much help.
Hey guys, so today is scan day. My scan anxiety is absolutely through the roof. Hey Kristen, where are you? Parliament House, Canberra.
I was given the opportunity to ask for funding in front of all of our nation's leaders.
How you feeling? Amazing.
I got to look them in the eye and tell them what it's like to have ovarian cancer.
Did it.
Every year we have an annual trip to the States for the ovarian cancer conferences, and we pick up a hire car and we just drive and explore.
Oh, yes. There's your old hospital bed down in the corner there. Yeah. How does it feel to be alive? Pretty damn good.
We're just losing too many women to this disease, so I stand up for them because they're no longer here to use their voice, and I owe it to my friends to raise awareness and funds for this disease because the outcomes are just not acceptable at the moment.
Thank you for sharing your story this morning so beautifully. Thank you for sharing Kristen's. We know it isn't easy to speak so openly on days like today. Thank you for honouring her memory with us. I want you to know that what you shared with us today will stay with us always. Kristen stood here at the Teal Parliamentary Breakfast in 2019, calling for greater awareness, more treatment options and stronger investment in research. Every woman who has ever stood here, including Elise in 2023, who passed away only a few months ago, made the same urgent call, and today Elsa reminds us those needs remain unmet. In the 7 years since Kristen stood here, the survival rate for ovarian cancer has increased from 45% to 49%. It is progress, but it is far too slow. The change women need sit at the intersection of policy, investment, system design, research and equity, levers that only government can pull at scale, which is why we are so thrilled to be here this morning, so thrilled that you are all here supporting this, and it is now my privilege to introduce Assistant Minister White to the stage.
Thank you. Incredibly, I don't feel I have any right to cry. This is your story, and I thank you so much for sharing it, and for sharing Kristen's story. Deb, I watched you get up here and speak so passionately and emotionally on behalf of everyone at OVA, and I just want to say thank you for your leadership, to Dorothy for your leadership, to Robin for your leadership, and for all others who are in this room standing together to support this cause, to work towards that ambition that you outlined and that your sister outlined. I'm sorry I never got to hear her speak, but through that video, she spoke to all of us. I don't think there's much more I can say. I'm deeply affected by what you've shared with us today, and I have had the privilege to sit with women across our country and hear their personal stories, just like your sisters. It has a profound effect on you when you learn how deeply they are struggling, but also how hopeful they are And today is a celebration of your sister's life, of the lives of women who've sadly been lost to this disease. We know the survival rates are so low. And yes, survivability is improving. But there is also much more to do. I don't even have a tissue. I'm so sorry. Thank you. Our government is determined to make sure that we can do more to support all women who are struggling with gynecological cancers. We have a deep focus on improving women's health outcomes. It is true that for too long, women's health has not been prioritised in the same way as men's health. That has also meant that research has not been directed towards women's health in the same way as it has to men's. But I am proud of the fact that our government is working to change that. And just this week, I met with the CEO of NHMRC to talk about how we're investing in research in our country, and I am thrilled to share with you that the majority of grants awarded for research in medical research are now going to women. The majority of funding is now going to women, and this means that we can also have a concerted effort in investigating treatments for women's diseases. In the 1st of January this year, we changed the criteria for the MRC so that they also consider sex and gender characteristics. This will help us focus on diseases like ovarian cancer, because it will now be a requirement. They give consideration to how we improve research in spaces where, unfortunately, has been neglected. That is not to say great work isn't already happening, and there is marvellous work underway that's been ongoing for a long time now, trying to investigate how we improve outcomes for women across a range of different cancer types. The Medical Research Future Fund has invested $28 million to support 15 grants with a focus on ovarian cancer research to date. The NHMRC has spent nearly $50 million towards research in this space between 2016 and today. And that's supported through further research, access to clinical trials for rare cancers and low survival cancers. There are people in this room who I know work in this area, and I want to recognise Jane, who I saw here, who looking at how we can use precision medicine, how we can understand the way we provide that unique care that Dorothy spoke about as the theme for this day, World Cancer Day, United by Unique. We are here because we are united in our determination to deliver hope and better outcomes for women who are diagnosed with ovarian cancer. But we also recognise that every single person's journey is unique. Their experience of cancer is unique. And that is where personalised treatment can be so important, and the care that people receive through the work that we support Ovarian Cancer Australia to deliver and others through the Australian Cancer Network is helping people navigate their cancer experience with somebody who can support them and guide them through an incredibly complex and challenging time, and their families. Because, as you so eloquently and generously shared, Elsa, this is an experience that your sister alone didn't have. You deeply involved in her cancer experience too, as were your parents. And that is true for every person who's been diagnosed with cancer. It's something they share with their loved ones, and together everyone tries to find a way through. And that's where our investment has recognised the importance of providing that wraparound support and holistic care. I want to acknowledge that there is more work that we need to do to support women who've been diagnosed with gynecological cancers. And I pay my respect to the work that has been ongoing with the collaboration across all gynecological cancers to support better treatment and hopefully a cure. I know that those conversations are ongoing. I just want to give my commitment today to stand with you as we continue to progress that. Thank you, all of you, for being here. For all my parliamentary colleagues, who I was remiss and didn't acknowledge any of you, I'm so sorry. Melissa, I'm sure, will speak next, and maybe we'll do a better job at that than I did. But I was just so moved by your story, Elsa, and that of your sister, and I just thank you so much for being generous enough to share that with us today.
Thank you, Assistant Minister, for your leadership, for your commitment, for working alongside us, for standing for the women of Australia. It truly does make a difference. We're so very grateful and committed to working alongside you. It is now my privilege to introduce Melissa McIntosh MP. Melissa is joining us on behalf of Senator Anne Ruston, one of OCA's parliamentary ambassadors, and in her own capacity as Shadow Minister for Communications and Shadow Minister for Women. Please join me in welcoming Melissa.
Thank you. If a chronometer is a measure of success, then you've done an amazing job. And thank you, Rebecca, for going first, because that gave me a bit of a moment to collect. And thank you very much for all your stories and your sister's story. And I felt like in some ways, because we haven't met, that I was intruding, but your sister was so warm that it's not intrusive. And just to see her face being so excited to be here in Parliament is a reminder of the power of what you can do in this place. I've stood up at many of these events since I got into Parliament in 2019, and I think it's when it's the real personal stories and when you share your journeys, and it is so serious as cancer, that as hard as it is to be here in Parliament and to keep doing that, it does make a difference. It really does. And it's not just about making us emotional as politicians, because you've worked at that. It is around creating that awareness, and more than that, funding to have better treatment and to ultimately have a cure. And all my notes, as I imagine Rebecca's is as well, when you're doing these speeches, is around the statistics and the disease itself, but you already know that, and that's why you're here. But it is good for us to learn more. And I was proud, and I said to Anne I'd stand up here on her behalf, and I know she fought really hard for our commitment prior to the last election for funding to ovarian cancer. And this isn't a political thing, it's one of those issues that we're very, I think, bipartisan, and we want to make a difference. And we just need to keep working on that, because so many advocates come through these doors, but I think when it comes to ovarian cancer and getting the backing of all the major parties, the independents and all of us in this place, you have that. So thank you. I'm going to be short. I more wanted to listen to your story. Thank you for coming across to Parliament from across the country. Keep fighting hard. You are making a difference. Even though the percentages seem small, they're a start, and we can do a lot more. And I know Anne is working closely with the government, and keep doing what you're doing. It's truly amazing work. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Melissa, for your words today, and for understanding, as Senator Ruston has always understood, that ovarian cancer transcends politics. Ovarian cancer is formidable. Whilst awareness matters, it alone will not save lives. We need strong investment in research, early detection, better treatment options, and wraparound supportive care to improve outcomes for women today and to improve the future generations of women. Last year, a parliamentarian said to me, "What can we do?" So let me honour that and be absolutely clear. Funding for the Teal Support Program must continue beyond 2027. And we have a once-in-a-generation opportunity to transform the health of women with gynecological cancers. Please show your support and advocate for the Gynecological Cancer Transformation Initiative. This is a collaboration between the Australian and New Zealand Gynecological Oncology Group and Ovarian Cancer Research Foundation and Ovarian Cancer Australia and many others. that brings together research, treatment and specialist supportive care in one coordinated national approach that will truly move the needle for the women of Australia, both now and into the future. When we ask to meet with you or brief your staff, please know we come with a shared agenda and a clear purpose. Your time will not be wasted. The Gynecological Cancer Transformation Initiative isn't just awareness of the problem, it's actually a path forward. And we're committed to working with every single person in this room to bringing that to reality. As we close here this morning, I ask each of you to carry forward what you've heard. Elsa's courage, Kristen's legacy, Elise's strength, and the thousands of women they represent. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. And thank you for standing with the women of Australia and ensuring that no one impacted by ovarian or gynecological cancers ever walks alone. Thank you.